More terrible news for Lindsey Vonn came just hours after her Olympic crash.
I have a long, long way to go. Tomorrow I'll have another surgery and hopefully that goes well, and then I can potentially leave and go back home, at which point I will need another surgery. I am just in the hospital, very much immobile. I feel very lucky and fortunate to have so many people around me that have really helped me get through this. So I just want to say thank you.
On February 8th, during the women's downhill in Cortina, she suffered a high-speed fall and was flown to a hospital in Italy. Doctors confirmed a severe leg fracture. Days later, additional surgeries were announced, extending her medical treatment timeline. Lindsey Vonn entered the 2026 Winter Olympics after returning to competition in late 2024. She had previously retired in 2019. Her return followed knee replacement surgery and months of rehabilitation. During the 2025-26 World Cup season, she recorded podium finishes in downhill events. In official Olympic training runs before the downhill race, she posted one of the fastest times, placing third in her final practice session. The crash occurred early in her downhill run. Video footage shows Vonn leaving the racing line and becoming airborne before impact. She hit the snow hard and slid down the course. Medical teams reached her quickly. She was stabilized on the slope and placed onto a rescue sled. Due to the severity of the injury, officials called for air evacuation. She was transported by helicopter to Ca' Foncello Hospital in Treviso, Italy. Doctors later confirmed she suffered a complex fracture of her left tibia. A complex fracture means the bone broke in more than one place or pattern. It requires surgical repair. Within hours of the crash, Vonn underwent her first operation. In the following days, she had 2 more surgeries. Medical staff scheduled a 4th procedure while she remained in Italy. Doctors said additional imaging would determine if more surgery would be needed once she returned home. This injury came just days after another serious setback. On February 3rd, Vonn confirmed she had fully ruptured her left anterior cruciate ligament during a World Cup race in Switzerland. Despite the torn ACL, she chose to compete in the Olympic downhill while wearing a brace. The ACL is a key ligament that stabilizes the knee. A full rupture often requires surgery and long recovery time. She had not yet undergone ACL reconstruction before the Olympic event. Earlier in the season, Vonn had also been airlifted following a separate crash in Crans, Montana. In that incident, she returned to racing after treatment. The Olympic crash, however, resulted in a confirmed fracture that required multiple surgeries. Hospital updates described her condition as stable following each procedure. In a message shared from her hospital bed, Vonn wrote that the days had been hard, but thanked medical staff and supporters. She described the support from teammates and fans during recovery. Medical teams continued to monitor her condition and manage post-surgical care. Before the crash, Vonn was attempting to add to her Olympic medal record. She won Olympic downhill gold in Vancouver in 2010 and bronze in 2018. At 41, she was one of the oldest athletes competing in Alpine skiing at the Games. Her return after knee replacement surgery was widely reported because joint replacement is uncommon among active elite ski racers. The Olympic downhill race continued after the crash. American skier Breezy Johnson won gold, finishing 0.04 seconds ahead of Germany's Emma Acher. Johnson's victory marked a major result for Team USA in women's downhill. The event took place on the Olympia del Tofane course in Cortina d'Ampezzo, which is also scheduled to host future World Cup events. Vonn's career has included multiple injuries. Over more than 2 decades of competition, she sustained knee injuries, fractures, and ligament tears. She won 82 World Cup races during her career, including 43 in downhill. She secured 4 overall World Cup titles between 2008 and 2012. Her return to racing in 2024 followed years of physical recovery and surgical procedures. The tibia fracture sustained in the Olympic crash is considered severe in alpine skiing. Downhill racers can exceed speeds of 80 miles per hour. At those speeds, crashes often result in high-impact injuries. A tibia fracture affects the main weight-bearing bone in the lower leg. Surgical treatment can involve metal rods, plates, or screws to stabilize the bone. Recovery time depends on the severity of the break and overall health of the patient. Medical staff in Treviso completed the initial stabilization procedures in stages. The first surgery addressed immediate structural damage. Subsequent surgeries focused on alignment and reinforcement. The fourth scheduled procedure aimed to further secure the fracture site. Imaging tests were planned after swelling decreased. Vonn's ACL rupture added complexity to her situation. A torn ACL weakens knee stability. Competing in downhill skiing places heavy stress on the knees. Her decision to race with a brace was documented prior to the Olympic event. After the crash, doctors focused first on the tibia fracture before addressing long-term plans for the ACL injury. Officials from the International Ski and Snowboard Federation acknowledged her injury in public statements. Team USA medical staff coordinated with Italian doctors during her hospitalization. Updates confirmed that she remained under observation as recovery continued. During the 2025-26 season before the Olympics, Vonn had placed on the podium in multiple downhill races. Those results showed competitive form leading into the Games. Her final Olympic training run, where she placed third, indicated strong speed on the Cortina course. The Olympic downhill is one of the fastest events in alpine skiing. Athletes race individually against the clock. A small mistake can result in large time loss or a crash. The course in Cortina features steep pitches, sharp turns, and long gliding sections. Weather and snow conditions can also affect speed and control. Following surgery, Vonn reported that she was resting and beginning early recovery steps under medical supervision. Doctors stated that healing of a complex tibia fracture can take several months. Weight-bearing activity is typically limited at first. Physical therapy usually begins after initial healing progresses. As of the latest medical reports from Treviso, she remained hospitalized. Plans included continued monitoring and evaluation before travel home. Further treatment decisions were expected after additional scans. The timeline of events spans just 5 days. On February 3rd, she confirmed a torn ACL. On February 8th, she crashed during the Olympic downhill. Within hours, surgery began. In the days after, 3 operations were completed and a 4th was scheduled. Her Olympic comeback had drawn attention because of her age and medical history. The crash shifted that focus to her recovery and medical status. Official updates continue to center on surgical progress and stabilization of the fracture. Medical staff have not yet provided a public timeline for full recovery. The combination of a complex tibia fracture and a torn ACL presents significant rehabilitation challenges. For now, treatment remains focused on surgical repair and post-operative care in Italy.
Canada opens their chase for Olympic gold with a 5-0 win over Czechia. And here to talk about it is Marty Biron. So, Marty, right off the bat, what was the biggest reason for this Canada win?
Well, I look at the skill level, right? Team Canada's skill level, when you look at the forwards, is like, and unlike any other teams, like they are so far and above beyond like any teams in the tournament.
Silence fell over the arena as Team Canada did more than win. They sent a message. Sidney Crosby didn't just wear the captain. He controlled the pace, the bench, and the moment. 5 goals, 0 against. A shutout that shook Czechia. But what happened behind the plays showed why this captaincy could change the entire Olympic tournament.
Team Canada, they're only going to get better from here. They were really sharp. They had things really figured out in the offensive zone, and that is only going to get better. That's only going to become more dangerous for the opposition as this tournament goes on.
Sidney Crosby entered the 2026 Winter Olympics as captain of Team Canada. Hockey Canada officially named him captain before the tournament began. This marked his return to Olympic play after more than a decade. He previously won gold medals in 2010 and 2014. In 2010, he scored the overtime goal that secured Canada's gold medal. Now he was back in charge of a new generation. Canada opened the tournament with a 5-0 win over Czechia. The result was clear and dominant. Nathan MacKinnon scored. Bo Horvat added a goal. Nick Suzuki scored. Mark Stone contributed. 19-year-old Macklin Celebrini also scored in his Olympic debut. The scoring came from multiple lines. That showed depth and structure across the roster. Connor McDavid served as alternate captain. He recorded 3 assists in the game against Czechia. His passing directly led to goals. After the match, McDavid spoke about Crosby's leadership. He described Crosby as a calming presence, defense. That quote reflected how the leadership group functioned inside the locker room. Jordan Binnington started in goal and stopped all 26 shots he faced. The shutout prevented Czechia from gaining momentum. Canada did not allow a goal in any period. The defensive coverage stayed organized. Players blocked lane. They limited rebound. That level of control reflected preparation and discipline. Head coach John Cooper addressed the team's mindset after the game. He noted that the group did not act with entitlement despite its star talent. He emphasized unity and collective effort. His comments connected leadership to team culture. Crosby's role extended beyond scoring. As captain, he led bench communication and shift management. Olympic tournaments move quickly. Early games shape standings and confidence. The 5-0 result placed Canada in a strong position in group play. The game against Czechia was Canada's first Olympic appearance with NHL players since 2014. Expectations were high. The performance matched those expectations. 5 goals scored, 0 allowed, 3 assists from McDavid, 26 saves from Binnington. Crosby returned to Olympic ice as captain. The opening win showed structure, control, and leadership from the first puck drop. The impact of Crosby's captaincy was confirmed even before the puck drop. When Hockey Canada announced him as captain, they reported that he had already won 2 Olympic gold medals. That history placed him as the most experienced leader on the roster. His return connected the 2010 and 2014 championship teams to the 2026 squad. Connor McDavid's 3 assists were direct factors in the scoring play. He did not score, but he influenced multiple goals. His role as alternate captain supported Crosby's leadership. After the game, McDavid again referred to Crosby as a calming presence. That remark carried weight inside a roster filled with NHL captains and all-stars. Crosby's Olympic record added context to his authority. In 2010, he scored the overtime gold medal goal in Vancouver. In 2014, he captained Canada to another gold medal in Sochi. His leadership in those tournaments remains documented in Olympic record. Now, in 2026, he leads again. Head coach John Cooper stated that the team played without entitlement. He emphasized that star power alone does not win games. The 5-0 result came from structured play and discipline. Canada scored in different situations and maintained defensive balance. 5 separate players scored against Czechia. That spread of offense showed depth. The shutout showed defensive control. The captaincy decision placed Crosby at the center of both. The opening game established Canada's position in the tournament standing. It also reinforced the leadership hierarchy announced before the Olympics began. The structure held firm from the first shift to the final horn.
For the captain of Team USA, Auston Matthews, where does he slot in terms of players feeling pressure and expectations coming into this tournament?
I think he's at the top of the list. I really do. I think for a number of reasons. What you just said about the history of USA Hockey, like they have to pounce. They believe in their program. They're a great program. They're a great team. They should have gold medal ambitions, right? They had championship ambition at the Four Nations face-off, and they got all the way to overtime, and they almost got it done.
The road to Olympic gold in Milano Cortina will not be easy. 2 hockey giants, Canada and the United States, are bringing superstar talent, heavy pressure, and huge expectations. But this tournament may come down to just 2 names, Cale Makar and Auston Matthews. One controls the ice from the blue line. The other carries a nation's hopes on his stick. As the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics get closer, the spotlight is shining bright on men's hockey. Fans are excited because this is best on best hockey, the world's top NHL stars playing for their countries. For Canada and Team USA, the stakes feel even higher. Both teams are loaded with talent, but their paths to gold may depend on very different X factors.
Studded talent, but there's got to be one player, Brian, you have in mind who you feel will be the most important for Canada as we get set to start this Olympic tournament on Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's Cale Makar. I do. I think it's Cale Makar, and I think it's Makar by a landslide, Jay. I really do. And I know people are going to look to the goaltending, and I understand that. It's a prominent position. They still have to figure out exactly who that guy's going to be. And I know McDavid's important, and McKinnon's important, and obviously the captain, Sidney Crosby. But I think the drop-off from Cale Makar to whoever you believe is the second best, most impactful defenseman on this team is a massive discrepancy. Much more of a discrepancy between McDavid and McKinnon.
For Team Canada, one player stands above the rest in importance, and it's not Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby. The biggest difference maker could be defenseman Cale Makar. That might sound surprising because Canada has so many superstar forwards. But hockey is not just about scoring. It's about controlling the whole game. Offense, defense, and transition. That's where Makar becomes priceless. Analyst Brian Hayes calls Makar Canada's most important player because of what he calls the gap theory. This means the talent drop between Makar and the next Canadian defenseman is much bigger than the gap at forward positions. If McDavid has a quiet game, Nathan MacKinnon can step up. If Crosby slows down, other elite centers can fill minutes. But on defense, there is no true replacement for Makar's skill set. Makar does everything at an elite level. He skates like a forward, defends like a veteran shutdown player, and runs the power play with calm control. He moves the puck out of danger faster than almost anyone in the world. That ability helps Canada spend less time defending and more time attacking. In Olympic hockey, where games are tight and mistakes matter, that puck movement is gold. Because of his value, experts believe Makar could play huge minutes, maybe even 30 minutes in a gold medal game. That's half the game. Very few players can handle that load without breaking down. But Makar's conditioning, hockey IQ, and skating allow coaches to trust him in every situation, even strength, power play, and penalty kill. Health, however, is the one shadow hanging over Canada. Makar previously missed the Four Nations face-off due to injury. That absence showed how vulnerable Canada can look without him. Their breakouts were slower. Defensive coverage looked shakier. If Canada wants Olympic gold, they likely need Makar healthy from start to finish. Without him, their championship odds drop fast. While Canada's pressure sits on one defenseman, Team USA's pressure centers on one forward, Captain Auston Matthews. This tournament could define Matthews' legacy. Team USA has not won Olympic gold in the NHL best-on-best era, which began in 1998. That drought hangs heavy over American hockey. Many believe this current roster is the strongest the US has ever iced. Deep, fast, and skilled at every position. Because Matthews is the captain and biggest superstar, the spotlight burns hottest on him. He will be expected to score in big moments, lead emotionally, and deliver when games are on the line. That's where the pressure builds. Because fair or not, Matthews carries a reputation for not always being clutch in the biggest games. If the US falls short, especially if Matthews struggles offensively, the criticism will be loud. Fair or unfair, captains carry the emotional weight of wins and losses. That's the burden of leadership. Matthews isn't just playing for medals, he's playing for legacy. What makes this Canada versus USA storyline so compelling is the contrast in pressure points. Canada's hopes may rest on a defenseman controlling the entire flow of the game. Their success depends on structure, transition, and blue line dominance through Makar. The United States' hopes may rest on a goal scorer delivering signature moments. Their success could hinge on Matthews finishing chances and leading the offense when it matters most. It's control versus clutch, structure versus scoring, blue line versus goal line. And when these teams collide, those storylines will crash together on the ice. Olympic hockey always creates heroes. Sometimes it's expected stars, sometimes it's unlikely names. But heading into Milano Cortina, two players sit closest to the pressure spotlight. If Cale Makar dominates minutes, drives possession, and shuts down opposing attacks, Canada's gold path becomes clear. If Auston Matthews scores timely goals, leads confidently, and breaks America's gold drought, he changes his career narrative forever. That's why this Olympic tournament feels so massive. Not just for nations, but for legacies. Because in the end, gold medals don't just crown teams, they define players.